Hello and welcome to Radiant PT. I'm Caitlin Sue, doctor of physical therapy, specializing in pelvic health, pregnancy, and childbirth. This is the very first session of our new cycle-synced movement series. This is going to be a yummy movement session to help you feel good in your body while you're on your period. I recommend doing this session as much as you like during the first 3 to 5 days when you're bleeding or having cramps. This is more gentle movement rather than intense, and I want you to get out of that all or nothing mentality about working out. Really intense exercise while you're on your bleed doesn't really serve you and it feels really hard. This kind of movement is really nourishing and it's going to make you feel better. If you're trying to live a more cyclical life, maybe you're trying to conceive like me, or you're just trying to balance your hormones, I want you to really start to look forward to these periods of rest and rejuvenation during your menstrual phase. Today's workout is a combination of mobility drills, core activations, breath work, and longer hold restorative stretches. It's designed to address some of the tight areas in your muscles, your fascia, in your abdominal wall, your hips, and your pelvic floor. It's definitely going to help you feel a little less crampy, maybe even a little less bloated. If you're ready, make sure you're wearing comfortable clothes, grab your yoga mat, and let's dive in. Okay, so we're gonna start on our yoga mat and we're gonna come right down to our hands and knees. I want you to have a flat back and put your hands right directly under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. As we inhale, we're gonna go ahead and drop the belly, arch the back, look up. And as we exhale, push into the ground, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, round out through the entire back. Inhale back to that arch, look up. And exhale, push into the ground, round out through the whole back. We're going to continue with these spinal mobilizations or cat-cows. Inhale to arch, exhale to round. Inhale to arch, exhale to round. Just feel into where your spine needs that movement and needs to stretch, and give yourself a little more love in those areas. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, and push and exhale. All right, back to a neutral spine, and then we're going to go into some tail wagging. So for this, I'm going to look over my left shoulder, bring my left hip to the left, and then the other way, look over my right shoulder and stick my butt out to the right. We're going to wag to the left and wag to the right. Inhale through the center, exhale as we bend. Inhale through the center, exhale and bend. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And again, feeling for those tight areas. It might be down around your hip. It might be up towards your armpit. You can kind of tuck slightly or arch slightly at the back or the pelvis to just feel where you need the stretch the most. We're going to do just a few more of these. Exhaling and tucking. Exhaling and tucking. Curving left, curving right. Okay, back to that neutral spine again. Okay, so we're gonna come up onto your knees to a high kneeling position, and we are gonna wake up those glutes by doing a kneeling hip thrust. So as we inhale, we're gonna reach the hips towards the back of the room, reaching the arms overhead, and then exhale and squeeze the hips forward to engage the glutes. As you inhale, build a stretch in your glutes. You should feel them kick on. Exhale, squeeze forward. Inhale, reach and lengthen, hips back, arms forward. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthening the glutes, feeling them kick on. Exhale, drive those hips forward. Inhale, reach, lengthen the spine. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. And one more of these. Beautiful. So from here, we're going to go ahead and put our left foot forward on the mat. And we're going to go between a hip flexor and a hamstring stretch. So as we stretch the right hip flexor, we're going to be tucking the tailbone under, lunging forward, finding a stretch in the front of our right hip, arms come up. And then as we exhale, we are going to extend that left knee, keep the spine long, reach down for the ground, stretch the hamstring. Inhale, tuck the pelvis, stretch the hip flexor. Exhale, long spine, keep the knee soft, stretch the hamstring. So we're keeping this really active. Inhale, tuck the tailbone, stretch the right hip. Exhale, lengthen out, stretch the left hamstring. Inhale, tuck the pelvis under and stretch the hip. And as you go into that hamstring stretch, dig that heel down into the mat a little bit to engage the hamstring. Inhale, tuck, stretch the right hip. Exhale, long spine, dig that heel down slightly to stretch the hamstring. Inhale, hip flexor. Exhale, hamstring. Inhale, hip flexor, tall posture. Exhale, hamstring. Inhale, tall posture, last one. And exhale and fold. Okay, we are going to go ahead and switch sides. Right foot's going to go forward. And this time as we inhale, we are tucking the pelvis and we're going to be stretching the left hip flexor. Tuck the tailbone under. And as we exhale, we're going to shift the weight back, straighten out that right knee, keep it soft, long spine, slightly dig that right heel down. Inhale, reverse, tuck the tailbone, stretch the hip. Exhale and fold back, soft knee, stretch the hamstring. Inhale, tuck the tailbone, reach up, stretch the left hip. Exhale, stretching out that right hamstring. We're gonna keep, when you do the hamstring stretch, keep that foot soft rather than flexing your foot up so that we're not tensing the sciatic nerve too much. We're really keeping it in the muscle. Inhale, tuck the tailbone, stretch for the left hip flexor. Exhale, fold, soft knee, stretch the right hamstring. Inhale, tuck the tailbone, stretch the hip. Exhale, back to hamstring. Inhale, tuck the tailbone, stretch the hip. Exhale, fold to the hamstring. Inhale, hip flexor. And exhale, fold for that hamstring. We're coming back to our hands and knees. Once again, we're going to go into some belly breathing. So we're going to keep our back flat. We are no longer doing a cat-cow here. The back is going to stay flat throughout this exercise. As we breathe in, we're going to drop and let the belly hang out. As we exhale, gently wrap in from the low belly. You want to be feeling this nice and gentle between the hip bones. Inhale, relax, let the belly expand in all directions. Exhale, gently wrap it in towards your spine. Inhale, relax it down. Exhale, lift it in. So as we're breathing in, we're really expanding in all directions. The belly is hanging out, but we're also expanding through the sides of the ribs. Like you swallowed a beach ball, everything is growing. And then as you exhale, it's a very gentle lift from that low belly. I don't want you to feel like you are tensing or gripping, like sometimes you'll hear abdominal bracing, like you're gonna be punched. That's not what we're going for here. This is a gentle wrapping in from the lower part of the abdominal wall. So a couple more breaths here. Inhale, expand and relax. Exhale, gentle lift. Inhale, expand and relax. Exhale, gently wrap the belly in. Inhale, drop and expand. exhale, gentle lift. Inhale, relax, and exhale, lift. Okay, we're gonna shake out the hands. And we're gonna go ahead and come down onto our side next for a nice side body stretch. This is seal pose in some yoga practices. And you can start on your forearm, and I want you to really straighten out your whole body. So squeeze your butt a little bit, extend your legs out straight. Imagine that you're in a toaster and everything has to be really flat, your whole body from head to toe. You're gonna really push away from the ground, extend your head out, and if you want a deeper stretch, come up onto your hands. The closer your hand is to your body, the more intense the stretch. The further away, it'll feel a little bit less intense. Again, you're keeping your whole body nice and straight, and you're gonna breathe into that side where you're feeling the stretch. I really want to encourage you to let go of abdominal gripping here. So you are not trying to hold your belly in at all right now. Nobody is watching. Let that belly expand as you breathe in and feel that extra stretch in through the rib cage. Find that hand position that works for you, and let's take a few more breaths here. Inhale, let the belly expand. Really breathe into that stretched side of the ribs. And exhale, just let the tension go. Breathing gently, letting your belly really relax, and keeping your spine long. Try not to just sink into the pose so much as lengthen out. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and lie all the way down onto your side with our arms out in front. Knees are gonna be stacked for level 1. If you wanna make that a little bit more intense, you're gonna straighten out your bottom knee and keep your top knee glued to the ground. Then we're gonna take that top arm and rotate up. Now we're not coming down into a T-shaped position. We're gonna bring the hand up a little more so you're making a Y as you peel that shoulder blade down to the floor and then rotate back. So we're gonna open up, make a Y shape, peel the shoulder blade down, and bring it back. So depending on your flexibility, you may be able to peel that shoulder blade all the way to the floor while keeping your knee down, or you may not, but keep the knee down and just go as far as you can, leading with that whole shoulder blade, so you're really feeling your spine rotate. This is a beautiful pec stretch. You're gonna feel it right across your chest, as well as some really great spinal mobility. So we're gonna inhale as we open and exhale as we return. Inhale as we open and exhale as we close. And last one, inhale to open and just hold that big stretch for a second. And bring it back. Okay, we are gonna flip right over to the other side. I'm going across on my belly, but whatever's comfortable. Starting with that side body stretch, that seal pose, we are going to extend the body out nice and long. Start up on your forearm. Squeeze your hips slightly, and then you can come up onto your hand if you want that additional stretch, but really try to keep your body flat like you're inside that toaster. Find a good position for you, and then lengthen your spine, lengthen your feet in the opposite direction of your head, and breathe into the side of your ribs that you're feeling that stretch. This is getting into some of those muscles around the upper pelvis, the QL, into the lower spinal extensors. These are muscles that tend to be really tight and really crampy during our periods. So breathe into that space, give it some love. And then we're gonna go ahead and lie all the way down, again, either stacking the knees or straightening out the bottom leg and putting the top knee down. We're gonna take those hands out in front, Start to open up into a Y shape, peeling the shoulder blade down, and then bringing it back. Adding in that breathing again. Inhale as you open. Exhale as you close. Keep that top knee glued to the floor and just rotate open as far as you can go, feeling that pec stretch. And exhaling to close. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. If you're short on space, you can always bring your arm to a 90-degree angle. You don't have to do the full Y. You just want your upper arm to be a little higher than your shoulder because that helps you open up the chest rather than just kind of popping the shoulder back. And last one, go ahead and hold it open. Take just a second here, feel that nice chest stretch, and bring it back. Okay, we're gonna flip over onto our back, and we're gonna go into a piriformis stretch for the back of the hip. So we're making a figure 4 with my right foot over my left knee. I am looping my hands through to grab onto my left thigh. And then I like to just kind of rock side to side a little bit, so I find the point where I feel the most balanced. My hands are clasped, and I want that to be the only thing that's holding my leg up. I want to relax my arms, relax my belly, relax my legs, not use any strength or effort to hold myself in this position. Really just relaxing from the head down. And then we're gonna go back to our breath again, and as we're breathing in now, we're gonna start to think a little bit more about what's happening in the pelvic floor. So as we breathe in and the diaphragm drops, the pelvic floor should drop with it. So as we breathe in here, I want you to think about softening and opening through the pelvic floor. As you breathe out, just let the muscle tension go. As you breathe in, soften and open. As you breathe out, let the tension go. Really focus on that inhale, softening, dropping, and opening every time. And stay in this position, breathing into that pelvic floor just a little bit longer. Okay, we're gonna switch right to the other side. Left foot over the right knee. Loop your hands through, clasping them behind that thigh. Rock side to side a little bit, find your balance point, and then again, let the tension go. So let your neck and shoulders relax, let your belly relax. Make sure you're not tensing with your core at all to hold yourself in this position. And then back to that breathing, focusing down into your pelvic floor. Imagine every time you breathe in, you are letting that pelvic floor soften, drop, and open. Exhale, tension releases. Inhale, soften and open. Exhale, release the tension. And keep breathing in this pose. As we get into the latter part of this workout, we're holding these poses for a little bit longer. And I want to encourage you to use this as a little bit of a mini meditation. So if you feel like your brain is starting to think about all the things that you have to do, bring yourself back. We're not asking for a lot of time here, but this time is for you. You've got nowhere else to be. One more breath. And then go ahead and drop those feet. We're gonna start next with a variation of a happy baby position. Now, if you're an experienced yogi and you like the full happy baby where you're grabbing onto your toes or your ankles, feel free to do that. But for our purposes and for what feels good for my body, we're gonna go inside of the knees with your hands. So go inside and then wrap your hands to the outside of your ankles. Let your knees just fall out into a butterfly position. And this should be a really comfortable position for most people. It shouldn't feel especially straining on the hips or the hamstrings. And again, you should be able to let all of that tension go and not do any work to hold yourself in this position. No effort required. See if this feels any different as you're breathing into your belly and as you're breathing into your pelvic floor. You're getting a little bit more of a groin stretch here, and as we stretch the adductors and we put our legs into external rotation like this, we are actually slacking and relaxing and lengthening those pelvic floor muscles. So we can get a really nice stretch through the whole pelvic floor as we're breathing in, softening and opening, and exhaling the tension away. Breathe in, everything expands. Exhale, let it go. Breathe in, belly expands, pelvic floor softens. And exhale, let it go. Stay here for just another moment. And again, as you notice any outside thoughts coming in, just acknowledge them and let them go. See if you can bring your attention back to your breath and back to your body. Okay, so we're gonna drop our legs down and we're gonna roll over onto our belly. We have 2 more stretches. The next one's gonna be a Sphinx pose. So for Sphinx pose, it's kind of like a gentle back extension. We're putting our elbows directly under our shoulders, palms flat on the ground. And if this feels crunchy in your low back at all, I want you to just play with either gently squeezing your glutes or gently squeezing your quads. One of those will probably decrease the tension in your back. But rather than just thinking about pushing yourself up, I want you to think about length. So pushing yourself up with your shoulders is part of it, but then I want you to lengthen your head up towards the opposite corner of the room where the ceiling and the wall meet, and lengthen your feet out behind you. Long spine, think about shining your chest forward and really getting a nice stretch in the abdominal wall and some extension in your back. When you feel that stretch in your abdominal muscles, again, breathe into it. We're trying to create as much space in these tight muscles as possible. Ground yourself by pushing your hands down into the mat. And stay here for just a couple more breaths. Long spine, head and toes going in opposite directions. All right, and you can go ahead and come out of this pose, push yourself up and back, and we're gonna come into a child's pose. Now, if you know that you have the hip mobility, feel free to do a wide-legged child's pose, and you can reach your arms out if you prefer. This is a little too much for me, so I'm gonna recommend that you at least bring your hands underneath your head because we're gonna be in this pose for a little while, so I want you to be comfortable enough to relax into it. I actually prefer to do a narrow leg child's pose with my knees together and rest my belly on my knees. My head is resting on my hands, and I find that in this variation, I can really relax. And as I breathe my belly into my knees, I can really feel the sides of my body, my back, and my pelvic floor expanding even more. So whichever position you're in, make sure that you're comfortable. We're gonna be here for a little while. And I'm gonna have you just breathe down into that pelvic floor and really melt into the pose. Take the first minute here to think about what you're doing. Breathing out into the sides of your ribs, letting your belly fully expand and relax. and feeling that softening of the pelvic floor every time you inhale. And then you can start to find some stillness and some silence. Notice if there is any more tension in your body that you haven't addressed. If you have any tension in your neck and shoulders, let it go. If you have tension in your jaw, rest that jaw. Release your belly, release your back, release your hips. Let everything go and melt into the mat for this final pose. We're going to take just a couple more minutes here. If you haven't taken a restorative yoga class before, I know this can feel like a long time. Melt into that pose. Letting go of all that tension is going to feel so good afterwards. Just keep breathing. And take a few bigger, deeper breaths as you start to wake up from this pose. Start to do some little micro movements of your hands and feet. And as you're ready, slowly bring yourself up, roll out your wrists, press yourself up to your hands and knees, and just take any kind of counter movements that you feel like you need, a little tail wag, a little cat-cow. Get yourself mobile again and ready to tackle the rest of your day. Thank you so much for doing this movement series with me. I hope that you're feeling really good. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them for me below. I'll talk to you soon.